And welcome back. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected many nations across the globe. Many countries are in need of essential supplies and medical equipment. In Morocco, His Majesty King Mohammed VI has provided supplies and aid to sub-Saharan nations on the African continent. Joining us now to share a little bit more and give us some insight a little bit further is senior consultant at KB Consulting, Khalid Bouksib, who joins us now and joins us all the way from across the globe. Good to have you, Khalid.
Nice to meet you, and thanks for inviting me.
No, glad to have you, and certainly we're glad to have this conversation as we talk about the things that are going on, particularly pertaining to COVID-19. A lot of us here in the United States, more particularly here in New York City, are still trying to deal and navigate. New York City, as you know, is the epicenter. But when it comes to Morocco, give us some insight into how Morocco is dealing with COVID-19.
Well, we are now at the end of the lockdown because life is almost back to normal in Morocco. And before the lockdown, prediction said that we will have the most a lot of deaths in Africa, but in Morocco, unfortunately, we have also deaths, but only 200 deaths. We can say that Morocco handled it well, and because of a strict lockdown, and His Majesty King Mohammed VI gave a strict instruction to handle the COVID-19 in Morocco. That's why they decided to put Morocco in a strict lockdown from the beginning, and now we are only at the end of this lockdown. That's why, thanks to God, we have only, but even if it's bad, unfortunately, we have deaths, but only 200 deaths in Morocco.
Yeah, and that's a blessing. I mean, when you think about 200 deaths, just the fact of one is very significant. But when we look at the numbers that we've seen across, here in New York City, and the thousands that have lost their lives, 200 certainly is a blessing to say as a casualty coming through the COVID-19 crisis. I wanted to take a moment, if you will, and share a little bit about some of this aid that, there was an initiative that was put out to really bring aid and essential supplies. So talk to us a little bit about what we saw out in Morocco.
Well, His Majesty King Mohammed VI gave his high instruction to sending medical equipment and different alcoholic gel or masks to help African country to fight the COVID-19, because we are in Morocco, in one of the most advanced countries in Africa, and we can manufacture masks or hydroalcoholic gel. And one of the instructions of the king was to make a quick change of the Moroccan industry to create medical equipment to help the country first to fight the COVID-19. And when we manufacture enough equipment for Morocco, we started to help the other country in Africa. Mm-hmm. But not only in Africa, we're also sending now masks in Spain and also in France.
Yeah, but there has been this intra-African solidarity that's going on, and can you give our viewers a little bit more about that solidarity between intra-African countries?
Well, we can say that Morocco is has the leadership in Africa, and we know that during this fight, we can make a conclusion that we all need to help each other, because the virus has no border. Virus can cross the border. So if you have enough equipment you have enough developed to help your neighbor or the country next to you, you have to do it. That's why Morocco decided to send 20 planes in 20 countries to make sure that the virus could fight in good condition.
Mm. Well, I want to talk about this for a minute. A recent economic policy note describes Morocco as a locomotive for harmonious co-emergence of this continent. And so how likely do you find this to be happening?
Well, Morocco has a set to transform its comparative advantage into competitive advantage. The manner just exemplary in which the Terrifying Kingdom reunited its industrial tools at the height of the COVID-19 health crisis does not contradict this assertion. And the one set in motion to better control its economic revival is interesting in that it combines high impact reflection and initiative oriented as much toward the creation and development of a new local value chains as toward the reinforcement and adoption of a new operating modes of international cooperation. And we only have, 35 million inhabitants. It was the only country on the continent to do so. Far from being gratuitous, the initiative shows the political will to play the card of South-South cooperation that King Mohammed VI used to promote, and in a concrete manner, but also that a greater integration of sub-Saharan ecosystem. The Royal Initiative is part of the future dynamics of the continent with the African Free Trade Area, AFTA. It reinforces the analysis of the economic policy notes on the role of Morocco as a future industrial hub and locomotive of integration. It is worth recalling that the note shows how Morocco could become a multipolar growth center from which it will be possible to create different production centers that are part of the value chain that will be strengthened and developed those dynamic Morocco soft power in sub-Saharan Africa. After Madagascar, which offered boxes of its remedy, COVID organics, to some 20 African countries to help cope with coronavirus disease, Morocco has joined the same dynamic and is coming to the end.
Well, certainly great to hear the work that's going on in Morocco. Definitely very proactive. And I think that's what a lot of us are worried about here in the United States, whether or not we can be proactive. But we're seeing right now more people are becoming reactive. So talk to us before we get ready to get out of here. What do you expect, and what do you expect to see happening in the near future?
I hope that African country needs to develop their own healthcare system, building hospitals, promote education in this way, because as we can see, if you have not your own system, your own integration, if you cannot manufacture things and you are dependent from the other country like China, and we see the problem in France, for example, just to manufacture or order some masks, you need to be independent on different things, not only for healthcare, but also for food and and sanitary equipment, for example. And we need to have in Africa, not the same system, but a real healthcare system in Africa, and be independent. It's going to take a long time, but we have to start now, like Morocco started 20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, Khalid, we got to leave it there, but thank you so much for joining us, updating us on what's going on in Morocco. Khalid Bouksib, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
No, great. Khalid Bouksib coming to us all the way from Morocco. Daren Jaime here on Open. We'll be back. We got more show coming up right after this.